Palisade Radio is brought to you by First Majestic Silver Corp, one of the world's purest and fastest growing silver mining companies.
Welcome to another episode of Palisade Radio. This is your host, Colin Cattell, and on the line with us today is an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur in the mining space, a very rare breed. His name is Brian Paes-Braga. You might know him as the CEO of Lithium-X. Brian, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Colin. Thank you for having me.
I want to start out by giving a little bit of background on how you got involved in the mining space. You're 28 years old. You started a company in the lithium space about a year ago, and the company's quickly gone from a market cap of a few $1 million to well over $100 million, and you've become the leader in a very hot space. Can you give us a little bit about your background, Brian?
Yeah, sure, Colin. Not unlike just hearing a little bit about yours, you're a young guy that was passionate about the space. I didn't have family in it, but I did have a surrounding in Vancouver of a lot of successful mining financiers and entrepreneurs that had started sub 10 million market cap companies and built them to multi-billion-dollar market caps. Picked the right space and really went and built these companies. And my background actually was financing junior resource companies as a stockbroker for about 5 years. And then I was a merchant banker, not unlike you right now, with a group here in Vancouver, put together a few companies, and then really felt that this lithium space was going to take off last summer with me and my junior partner here. We took a look at the fundamentals, supply demand. We felt there was a lack of investment opportunities, which has obviously changed dramatically. As you mentioned, there's probably 100 names out there now, but previously, there was kind of a blue ocean on a pure play lithium name, and I feel like Lithium-X had the opportunity to be that leader, come out of the gates quite fast, and with the team that we put together and the access to assets and capital, we intend to be the pure play name for investors looking for exposure to the rising price in the lithium market.
Well, yeah, Brian, you have developed quite a team, and that starts with your cornerstone investor, Frank Giustra. We actually have not had Frank on the show, surprisingly, but many of our listeners are probably quite aware. He's been a very successful, serially successful mining entrepreneur and also in the filmmaking industry. Frank, I guess, got introduced to you and was impressed with what you brought to the table and decided to back you in this venture with Lithium-X. Can you tell our listeners about how you got acquainted with Frank?
Sure. Yeah. So, mentors have always been very, very important to me. They've really advanced my growth throughout my life and the different stages I've been in. And, Frank was someone I looked up to from a very young age, didn't know him at all. But as you mentioned, not only from a movie business perspective, a resource success track record, but also from a philanthropic. He really lives an amazingly well-rounded life. Anyone that knows him, knows that this guy's just larger than life and just an amazing man. And I was introduced to him about 3 years ago now, actually by a lovely girl that used to work with me, and she knew I was always wanting to get to know him, and we finally met. We became very close friends, and then the friendship evolved into a partnership about September last year, after my junior partner and I, as I mentioned, had kind of done our homework in the lithium space and felt we had made conviction that there was an opportunity. I approached him, and he said, absolutely, let's get behind it, and if we're going to do it, let's go build the biggest and the best and get the best people and the best assets. And right after that, someone we need to mention is our third partner, Paul Matizik, who is another extremely successful resource financier, a great man. And he was the founder of Energy Metals, founder and CEO of that, sold it for $1.8 billion back in 2007 after only 3 years. He then founded Potash One and sold that for $434 million within about a 3-year period as well, and then started Lithium One, and within, again, a 3-year period, sold out for $112 million. And really, between the two of them, Colin, Frank is the best, kind of strategist, high-level thinker and door opener that Lithium-X and their shareholders could ask for. But Paul is really almost like my co-CEO. He's really mentored me on the road, boardrooms across the world that we've been in together, and he's just a complete workhorse and so focused. So between the two of them, and I think some of my young energy and passion, we've been able to really advance the company from, like you said, kind of sub 5 million market cap to north of 100 million, and we still feel that we're just getting started.
Brian, I'm just looking at the wall behind you, and you've got a bull painting on the wall, which maybe represents the lithium bull market, and as an extension of that, the bull market that started to emerge in commodities. And then if you shift to the other side, there's a stock chart down on the bottom screen. That I don't know if that's Lithium-X's. I don't know if that's Lithium-X's chart, but it certainly it looks kind of like Lithium-X's chart. I want to ask you what it is that you've done. It's only been 7 or 8 months since this whole thing came together in a public forum, and going from 5 million to 100 million. Lithium being in the right space certainly helps, but you guys have emerged as a leader. What have you done in 8 months to do this?
Yeah, I think, Colin, a lot of it was from financing companies. A lot of the experience I had financing companies over the last 8 years, and Stu Vorberg, who hired me and also hired Frank Giustra when we were both stockbrokers in our early 20s. We always went through, what is a recipe to success? And I think it always starts with people. There's got to be a synergy and a track record and camaraderie and culture that is great. And I know we have that. It comes down to share structure and really being respectful to the share structure of the company. Not diluting all your shareholders early on, really trying to continue to raise capital at accretive prices that we've been successful to do. And you got to get lucky, and we did get lucky with timing. I think we had conviction that lithium was going to move, but really we went public November 30th. And lithium price had moved from $5,000-$6,000 a ton to some contracts in China. And I just came back from China, going at north of $20,000 a ton. And, sometimes you got to get a little bit of luck along the way on timing. And, we just emerged just before the whole kind of boom happened. But I think, it comes down to people, structure, and then you can go and look for the world-class assets, and that's what we've been able to do. We started in Nevada, and now we've acquired, I think one of the top 5 salars in the world in Sol de Los Angeles in Argentina, and not to mention, jurisdictionally, Argentina was a bad word in boardrooms for the last 4 or 5 years. And Macri's come in and probably had the best start to 120 or 150 days of a politician, I think maybe not in history, but in modern times, he's really done an amazing job with that country. They've now got oversubscribed bond issuances. It's amazing. So we got, timing, people, and structure, I think is been our secret to success, and focus and hard work. It's not rocket science when you work with good people and you work hard.
Brian, when a commodity goes up 400% in just a few months' time, even with catalysts in place, and when commodities go up that much, everybody justifies why they're going up that much and why they will continue. One can look back in the past and say that this is oftentimes the bursting point of a bubble. What would you say to people that think that lithium's in a bubble? We have all of the signs, hundreds of or 50s of companies, I just should say, jumping into the space, picking up every piece of ground possible with lithium on it. Just been a huge rush. Why do you think we're not in the bursting point of a bubble?
Yeah, any of these charts always look scary. I think fundamentally when I started this company too, Colin, was I have a firm belief that the world is kind of shifting away from fossil fuels. The world doesn't want oil spills anymore. The world wants a cleaner world, and from our homework, lithium was that element that kind of brought it all together from a storage perspective. Not to mention that lithium is a very new market. It started in really the pharmaceutical business, and then it emerged into glass and ceramics, and that was a lot of the demand, and still is, for the industrial lithium. But then consumer electronics came into vogue like early 2000s, and now the computer we're speaking on, our phones, everything is kind of rechargeable batteries. And again, the underlying theme there is lithium ion batteries. And what's shifted the demand now is, and again, it's not rocket science, but you now have, for example, my Tesla. You've got like 100 times the lithium in a Tesla car battery than you do on a laptop or on a small handheld device. And if you're a believer in electric vehicles, which I am, and you're a believer in what people like Tesla's doing, and whether you believe in what Tesla's doing or not, from being able to deliver 400,000 vehicles or whatever, you got to be a believer in the electric vehicle coming into the big car manufacturers of Volkswagen, of Porsche, of all these big companies. You have to see the demand side of lithium be continuing to be robust, because there's only about 500,000 electric vehicles delivered last year, and Elon Musk with one model has 400,000, and that's not to mention all these other car makers I mentioned. And then the big question mark on the demand side is, how big is energy storage going to be, and how big of a part of energy storage will lithium be? And this comes down to allowing green technologies that. The issue with them over the last 10, 15 years have been the variability nature of them. And, you have a thermal coal power plant, or you have a natural gas power plant, you've got consistent energy. And that's why that infrastructure has been in vogue for so long. People are tired of the issues now with that. So they moved into solar cells and windmills. Unfortunately, the sun isn't, it's not sunny all day long, so it's variable in nature, and windmills is not windy all day long. But now what technology is allowed is storage of this power to then use it at peak times. And if that becomes as big as some people say it will, I don't see the demand side correcting. Do I believe there's going to be volatility in the price? Absolutely. Any economics, in history, you don't always just see the spike and you don't have natural corrections. I think it'll be the leaders and the companies that handle these price moves and either hedge out some of their production, not unlike an oil and gas producer. Some of the great oil companies right now that are hanging in there didn't bring on a lot of leverage and hedged out a lot of production at 80, 90, 100, $120 a barrel. Use tactics like that actually build a proper business. But to comment on the pricing, I do think there's going to be continued volatility, because it's a narrow market, and a little bit of buying can affect the upside, and a little bit of selling can affect the downside. So investors need to be aware of that.
Is this entire industry relying on the success of Elon Musk? He's obviously a poster child for the solar movement, the electric car movement. I mean, he's a huge leader there. But at the same time, the lithium demand is built into a lot of other places. Do you think that a lot of these lithium companies rest on the success of Tesla and Elon Musk?
Yeah. So personally, Colin, I think Elon Musk is an absolute visionary and leader of our time, and I hope everything he wants to do, he does. And I think he's got if anyone's got a shot, he does. But having said that, for a lithium explorer, developer, and producer like we intend to be, no, I don't think it's a binary event. I think what Elon Musk has done and Tesla has done is they've changed consumer thought process and behavior. He saw a trend, and I think, when I drive my Tesla and our friends drive their Teslas, they feel like they're doing their part. They're helping out, a little bit, and they feel good about it. So I think he's changed consumer decisions, which is the most powerful thing. And now you're going to see other well-known brands come in and build off of that. And I think that's where you're going to see the real quantity of orders, of the kind of 90 million cars delivered every year, new cars delivered every year. I think you're going to start to see a lot of percentage be electric vehicles. And I just came back from China, and a lot of the new technologies are actually full lithium metal batteries. They don't even have the graphites, the vanadium, the nickel cathodes. The guys were presenting to me over there that are the kind of leading edge of technology, that the new batteries that are the best performers are 100% lithium metal. So it gave us great confidence, learning that I don't think the substitute effect would happen anytime soon. I think it's also worth mentioning, Colin, that early on in our research, we found that lithium is only about 2.5% of the final cost of a battery. So again, to mention that substitute effect, with the price doubling or tripling or quadrupling or going even higher, you're really not going to see, I think, a change in a material or a lot of R&D that goes into a substitute product. I think that's going to take time. And if lithium was a 30 or 40% cost of a battery starting out at $5,000 a ton, that's something that we would need to be concerned with. I think the environment was ready for lithium price to move, and another reason why we were bullish on getting into the space.
Well, Brian, I have so many questions I'd like to ask you. I know we only have about 5 minutes left, so I want to ask you what's next for Lithium-X now that the market cap's $100 million. That changes the dynamics and type of investors that might be interested from the ones that have that high risk that are interested in investing at $5 million. What do you say to people that say, look at the stock chart, it's done so well, but why should I invest at this point? Is this a production story? What comes next?
Yeah, I think. With being careful, obviously, with disclosures, I think investors need to just watch Lithium-X over the next kind of 4 to 8 weeks. We just closed on our acquisition last week with the Salt of Los Angeles in Argentina. Our vision is to continue to get world-class assets, world-class people, and build really a household name. I do think that the producers at this point will get a lot of value, like Orocobre is getting, like Galaxy's getting, like General Mining's getting, because of the supply crunch and because of the pricing. The producers hold a lot of the cards right now. And with some of the delays and failures like Canada Lithium and RB Energy and Orocobre has been a little bit delayed too in ramping up production. The market was ready for some of these 15 to 25,000 ton a year operations to come online, and they just haven't. So that's part of the supply crunch. And I think if a company like ours can focus on getting into production sooner rather than later, it's something that's definitely important to us. And we'd also like to look at acquiring more assets. We think it's still early innings on this space, and it's going to have its ups and downs like any commodity cycle. This is no different. But I think this is early innings on how important lithium is to the world. We've got Goldman Sachs saying it's the new gasoline. There's a lot of push, and there's not really a lot of ways for big investors. And you mentioned a lot of the retail speculative investors, I think, got Lithium-X to this price level and to this point, but we are now seeing institutions start to come into the market, and we're really excited to have those institutions come in at a time where we're going to start to lean on them for capital to grow. We do have over $10 million in the bank. We've got all the money we need for now. And now we just need to be opportunistic on capital raises alongside potential merger and acquisition opportunities.
Brian, you discussed how lithium's cost is not a prohibitive component of lithium-ion batteries in terms of the cost. If the price of lithium goes up 4 times as it has, it does not make the batteries unaffordable. And that kind of reminds me of the play with my favorite commodity, I should say, which is uranium, where the cost of running a nuclear plant, the fuel component is only a couple percent, and that's a very good thing for somebody invested in lithium or uranium. If the price of that commodity goes up, they benefit significantly without costing the consumer. I know a CEO never wants to say what else he's investing in, but what else do you like in the commodity space? Are we in a broad commodity bull market now?
Yeah, I don't think we're in a broad commodity bull market. I think, and especially the stuff that I'm seeing in China too, and the kind of the last super cycle that was driven by, real infrastructure and metallurgical coal and iron ore. I don't see that. I think that gold is gonna have a good run here because of just the macro environment of negative interest rates, and I think we'll see some volatility come back into the broader index. It's had the Dow's had a good kind of 5 to 7 year run, and I think gold will start to pick up. But really my focus is lithium and building Lithium-X into using my partner's track records into a multi-billion-dollar market cap company, but but personally, I think gold will do well as well, and I am putting some money into the gold space. And again, I can't ignore my partner Frank Giustra and his passion for it either. That would be where I'd focus on some of the other more ferrous metals and non-ferrous metals and some of the energy mix. I think you're right on the uranium. I don't know enough about the space. I have some good friends that have big positions in the uranium space, and they say the same thing, and it makes sense to me. I just don't have the same education level that I do in the lithium space.
Okay, well, Brian, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's refreshing to meet and talk to other young people in the industry, and you're certainly outshining most, if not all of them, your age and many people above your age. Best of luck with Lithium-X moving forward, and I hope 2016 is a very good year for yourself and the lithium business.
Thank you, Colin. You too, and again, it was great to know you too, and we'll keep in touch.
Think you understand the junior mining sector, and you think that the participants in the mining sector, junior mining sector, are good people and kind people, hit the bid.
And the world is always going to need raw materials. It's going to need copper and gold and nickel and so forth.
Totally destabilized. Hey, Troll, did you hear what's going on in Yemen? Or are you too stupid?